Andy, what did you think of Lethal Weapon? Have you seen? Did you see it before? What did you think about it? Either watching it for the first time or rewatching it?
This dog's barking.
Dog break.
Yeah.
Evelyn,
Well,
I'll tell you what. Why don't I go ahead and do the rundown like we usually do for people that haven't seen the movie or maybe need a little refresher? And we'll talk about some of that, and then we can get into our vibes on it. So the summary of this movie, if you haven't seen it, this was a buddy cop movie from the 80s, one of the most well-known. I had never seen it before. Everyone's shocked. I actually saw Rocky earlier, too, but I won't tell you about that. But I'm sure you can guess.
You were not allowed to talk about Rocky anymore, Justin.
I know. I've been cut off by, I have 7 or 8 different circles of friends, and you're dead to me. Anyways, with Lethal Weapon, this movie came out in 1987, and so it says, following the death of his wife, Los Angeles police detective Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, becomes reckless and sliding in the sewery, if you know what I mean. When he is reassigned and partnered with Roger Murtaugh, played by Danny Glover, not to be confused, though I will, with Donald Glover, Riggs immediately clashes with the older officer. Together, they uncover a massive drug trafficking ring, and as they encounter increasingly dangerous situations, Riggs and Murtaugh, they begin to form a bond, a social link for Persona fans out there. Riggs' volatile behavior might just help them apprehend the criminals. If it doesn't, K-word them both first. I don't know if I can say that. Can I say that one on YouTube too, or is that one also banned?
Unalive. They were
unalive.
Okay, I did good.
Delete.
This movie cost $15 million to make. It brought in $120 million smackers. That's an real American dollars from the 80s. Whenever they
when the dollar was actually worth something.
Yes, 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb. 3 out of 5 on Common Sense Media. That was just on there. 80% Rotten Tomatoes and an 86% 5-star review on Amazon.
Yeah, that's about right. And truth be told, as much as I love this movie, I think the sequels are more popular and I think a little bit better in some ways. At least the second one is.
I think.
That's a pretty good rundown. Evelyn, since you're already going, man, what were your basic thoughts on the movie going in? Had you seen it before?
I had never seen it. This was one of those movies growing up. There's a lot of 80s movies that would be on TBS or TNT, and I'd catch bits and pieces of them during family holiday gatherings, whether it was Star Wars, Indiana Jones, 007. This was one, though, that I never saw any part of it. It was completely fresh to me. The only thing that I noticed about it was that I'm a big fan of Loaded Weapon 1. And so there were scenes in this movie that were supposed to be emotionally impactful, and I was just thinking of the parody version in Loaded Weapon 1, especially the picture where he's looking, he's like, I miss you so much, Claire. And then it shows Emilio Estevez looking at the photograph, and it's of his dog. And so in this movie, it's actually of his wife, but I was just thinking back to that scene. In any case, I thought the first hour was a little bit slow, a little bit too dramatic, a little bit too dark. It opens up with this young girl.
Hold on, I gotta address this comment by Dane. I have come to raid the Iron Seas. Hand over your booty.
All you gotta do is put your lips together and blow.
Oh my gosh.
Your clothes, give them to me.
This stuff will make you a damn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
All right, we're done.
Somebody said your mic is low, though, Kahuna. Why don't you work on that, all right?
Is this better, guys? Can you hear
That's
me
way
now?
better.
Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Eat it.
How's that? Ooh, that's real nice.
So while the dogs aren't barking, I was gonna say there's a scene in this Lethal Weapon movie. This is my first time seeing it. There's a scene in there where Mel Gibson is putting a pew pew in his mouth and acting crazy and gonna self-delete, and that actually was so well acted that it disturbed.
Was it acted?
Right. Right. That's where I'm at.
He was acting crazy.
Yes, acting crazy. But yeah, I have to, it's for just a buddy cop movie. It was impressive. Just saying.
Oh, it's funny. For me, I'm like, oh, I thought it was a buddy cop movie. My point of reference is The Other Guys or Rush Hour, and then I come into this, and it's girl jumps off the building, and then this guy's, got his pew pew, and he's
And
having
just like,
he's
this is
having
the best
thoughts.
movie ever made.
I'm
I
like,
can't believe I didn't watch this.
When is it going to get like actiony and like fun? And it does around the 1 hour mark.
There
then
was
it picks
action,
up, and then I'm
Justin.
Like,
She jumped off a roof.
no,
Gotta
Gotta
more
open,
action
open with the
Not
booby
like-
shot.
not like sad, horrible action that makes me be like, oh, I didn't wish I didn't see that. I'm talking about like fun action where bad guys are getting blown up and stuff, and threatened with hand grenades
Also,
from a
for
safe
any
distance, that sort of thing.
children watching at home.
You can't watch that first scene. It's inappropriate.
All right, there we go.
Yo, can we make
Just
movies
little
great again?
disclaimer.
All right, I miss back in the day when the movies opened with tits first. All right.
They were not. I forgot how not shy this movie was about it too.
It's like every movie
Yeah,
back
and
then,
then
though.
And then they followed up with what? I don't like anytime you combine like new ladies and then them dying. That's like I don't understand that. But then they cut right to
Justin's like, what a shame. Too
yeah,
little,
it's
too
like-
late.
It's just weird. Like, why are you combining these two things? Is it just like trying to get the most emotional? It feels kind of cheap to me, I guess. Because they're like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, now here we do this. You didn't expect that. I'm like, that was cheap, bro. But then they cut to Mel Gibson, and he's walking
also
around.
naked.
Yeah, and his butt's just hanging out. And I almost looked at my watch. I swear it was 7 or 8 seconds he was walking. It felt like a
Oh, it was
lifetime.
long. It was long.
You-
Yeah.
They're like, if we're going for the ass shot, we're going to give you the royal treatment.
Like,
Yeah.
do it again. Do it again.
So-
It's take 80. Like, how many times? Do it again.
I think this, like, I've seen a lot of old movies, and honestly, like, I think this might have been my first time watching it. At least I don't remember watching it before, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I know I've seen like one of the sequels, the one that had like Charlie Day in it, and Mac.
Charlie
so
Day.
I much prefer that version of it from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. No, anyone?
Oh, I've seen that
I've
show, but I don't remember that one.
I've never seen that with Charlie Day and Mac, like with like a shitty camera, and like one of them's in blackface.
Oh no, I haven't.
I'm
Seen
too old for this shit.
It's pretty good, yeah.
It's
pretty
so good.
All right, I
Brian
gotta track that
McCoppin
down.
actually, he got to see them filming part of Lethal Weapon 3. Yeah, even got to
Nice.
see Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. It's pretty.
Oh,
pretty cool.
nice.
Dennis just does like an Australian accent the whole time. No, but so with Lethal Weapon, I'll say, like, watching it with fresh eyes and stuff like that. And, especially when you get a movie that's like 20 plus years older, it's like, it's got some slow parts or whatever, but it's like, does it hold up or anything? And I think I made the point where it's like, if you take Mel Gibson and with Danny Glover,
Danny Glover, yeah.
Donald.
if you take them out of there, replace them with different actors, something like that,
This
I
movie
think this
doesn't work.
movie's probably trash. Yeah, I think it's like specifically these two actors and their chemistry is why it works.
Well,
Well, on that
it was
point-
lightning in a bottle for sure. You don't always get that good of chemistry between actors, even in other like buddy cop style films.
Do you all remember? I was earlier posting in our chat about who they were trying to cast for the different roles and who almost got the parts, but they turned them down. Do you remember the list of names? I know Bruce Willis was definitely on there, and then later on he obviously got picked up for Die Hard, but he was one of the people they were trying to cast.
That list was pretty crazy. I remember
Yeah,
that.
I thought I popped it in here by now, but there was a handful of names. Even the director, they wanted to get Ridley Scott to direct it at first, and he was like, no. And then they wanted to get Leonard Nimoy from Star
Leonard
Wars,
Nimoy, yeah.
that one, and he also had to turn it down because he was doing three men and a baby. So
But again, it's like this movie. I think if you write it out and compare it to other movies written out, it's like it doesn't work.
How's that, Chad?
It does work. Yeah, it's weird. Like
Yeah,
I think overall,
I checked my mic settings and I was down to like 30%.
it's
I just
tough
turned
'cause
it
it
up to
sounds
150.
totally
So tell
fine
me if
on my
that's better.
ears.
yeah, it's always weird. It's, you can't tell like, unless you're in the audience.
Well, yeah, it's like that's why you always need someone in the audience. Like, hey, can you check that for me? Is it working now?
Appreciate
It's
it
like-
though, people.
Subtle, very subtle, very subtle. Yeah, no, for me, it was kind of, it's been probably four-ish years since I've seen the movie, and it was nice rewatching it. But I was filming my reactions to it, like putting together a little commentary thing I may release later. And then my dad joined me, so I stopped filming and such, and we're talking. I'm like, he and I realized, I think I have this entire film almost memorized. Very close, like almost line for line memorized. It's one of those. I didn't realize it was one of those films until right there in the, like maybe halfway through when I was talking to my dad. I'm like, I know exactly what's about to happen and exactly what they're about to say, and I'm still here. That's not. I think that's a sign of the movie holding up, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the dude. I guess like it was like with the naked shot of Mel Gibson, and it's like, oh man, this feels really unnecessary. They were trying to drive home like I don't know, like the loneliness and like depravity, I guess, of the character, and how that like is mirrored up against Glover's character, where it's just like he's a family man and he's got the loving wife, the loving kids.
He might be tired, but he's tired from a life well lived. It's very different than the kind of tired that Mel Gibson is feeling.
As they're writing it, they're like, how do we make him seem as opposite as possible? They're like, what's different? Family, no family. Nice house, beat up like old
happy,
whatever.
Clean,
dirty, clothes.
Slidle.
This guy's in clothes, so that's no clothes.
No, they were both naked in their introduction.
Yeah, he was in the bath.
You're right.
Also, he was really just chill about his like family being there. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, there's not that
was weird.
many bubbles, man. Yeah. That was a little weird.
A little bit too presidential for my taste.
Little Hollyweird.
Great way to describe it.
Yeah, very much. But yeah, again, if you take out Danny Glover, the dynamic doesn't work. But if you take out Mel Gibson, like I've never seen a movie where he doesn't bring his A game or try to at least. And when he's crazy, I believe he's crazy. When he's sewer slidle, as in a sliding down the sewer, I believe it. Like every emotion that he's trying to convey in the film, I thought really came across very, very well.
Yeah, was he acting?
Maybe not entirely. Oh yeah, just slap. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that scene. Yeah.
Oh, and then he has like the Three Stooges moment, like boop boop.
That was weird too.
It was, and I saw some analysis of the movie where they're saying that scene is supposed to show that he does have a kind heart inside. I'm like, that is not how that came across at all. That came across as this person is unhinged and nothing else. Which it was still a good scene in that sense, but to play it off as like, oh no, he's got feelings underneath all that crud and everything else, like,
well, like there's a positive message at the end of this movie, and I'm like, and when people always talk about Die Hard being a Christmas movie, I'm like, I'd argue this is more of a Christmas.
It opens with Christmas jingle.
Yeah, and they end that Christmas dinner. Yeah, it's more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard. I said it, internet.
And neither one's a Christmas movie.
I actually agree.
Oh, wow, really? You're the first one.
Yes,
we did it.
Listen, this is a cringe debate.
We're done. The internet's
a cringe debate.
You guys are so cringe. Oh no, I'm bad sauce. I don't like people arguing on the internet. Oh. I also drink Nas. It's basically
people
horse
have been
piss.
talking about that for fucking ever, and it's just like nobody actually cares.
I care a little bit. Man, just like fighting with people. Actually, the end of this movie.
Hold up! Okay. I disagree with your wife.
Yeah,
I think he was teasing his partner than the girl was kind of into him. It didn't seem like it was the other way around at all, at least not in any like actual way. Am I wrong?
I think now is a great moment. I think you're right. I kind of agree. But I think right now we can read out Productions.
Oh, you have to say that, Seabats. She meant the bad guys. Yeah. Like, just in case you didn't know they were bad.
But anyways, what a loser take. Just saying, what a loser.
What, you don't want to watch A Christmas Story again?
Yeah.
Well, one thing about this movie too was with Glover kept being like, "Oh, I'm way too old for this." I'm like, "How old are you, man? You don't look that old." And Mel Gibson looks close to your age too, and the daughter that's kind of into Mel seems a little bit older too. And then you look it up, and Mel's like 30. The daughter who plays the one that's like flirting with him's like 24, and then Glover's only 40. So it's not like
it is weird. I'm like, wait, everyone, it's the opposite of Hollywood. It's like, except for the daughter, like everybody's actually younger than they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they just kept being, I'm too old for this. I'm like, dude, you're not that old, man.
I'm too old for this shit. It's like Danny Glover's one of those actors. Like, I love his acting, and I like when he's in a movie. And then anytime he opens his mouth outside of a film, I cannot stand anything he has to say.
I've never heard him speak outside.
He is hyper political and really likes to do very like awkward, cringy things like for attention on stage.
Oh, he's just like a hardcore right wing guy.
No, yeah. He's a big gun nut and all that. No.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
No, like putting his tongue down some politician's throat on stage in California just to try to get people more excited about the campaign. Dude, it was weird. Bad Sauce, what are you sharing here? Oh.
Oh no.
This is the Always Sunny one.
Yes.
Fucking Mac in blackface.
Mac in black.
Great. I'm not gonna watch it all.
That's removed. No.
Yeah.
And so let's see. Well, like everybody, like AC, you first. What was there a particular weak point in the storytelling or in the filmmaking for you?
So I would say, like, it actually was very good storytelling and filmmaking. The budget parts were noticeable, and there was some unnecessary things. Like, for example, like, I feel like this movie was just total creative freedom going on there, because, like, yeah, what's up with the Three Stooges thing with Mel, and like, I feel
like
some
that
other
was just kind of like
choices.
a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, and they kept it in. They're like, yeah, you look super crazy, bro. It's like, well, maybe you should have just did a few takes or something. I don't know.
For me, it really if it was acted poorly, I would agree. But because he does actually seem crazy, it kind of sells it for me, at least for me. Justin, some bad point. Oh wait, you have nothing. Okay, so no bad points. Okay, yeah. So anyway, Bats. Any bad points with the movie?
Point about it.
Is it me?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No, you go, Emily. You go.
No, I was just, everything I said before is the things that bothered me about it. It was the first hour I thought was slow. It was a little bit too dark out the gate. And then after that, by the time it hits the 1 hour, I was on board. So
you just have to get past, like, it does start off very, very dark.
Yeah, it was. I was, again, my point of reference for buddy cop movies like Hot Fuzz, Rush Hour, Other Guys, things of that nature, where it's more kind of fun and silly, and maybe there's some serious parts, but it's mostly just popcorn. And it started off just be like, no, and just, kicks you in the places. And I was like, holy cow. And by the end of the first hour, though, it gets more what I was expecting, and I had fun from that point forward. So that was really my only big negatives. It was just slow out the gate. I would have edited it a little bit myself, but other than that,
I had a buddy of mine was saying, oh, it's like, I wish they didn't show so much of like the family dynamic kind of stuff. I'm like, no, because you kind of did need that though, because Mel doesn't have a family.
Yeah,
you need to get to know both characters, and then he has to be quasi adopted into the family as like that crazy uncle kind of character, and so it does make sense, at least for me. But yeah, Joe, what about you? Any particularly like negative points on this?
Yeah, I mean, like Justin said, yeah, I mean, it kind of suffers a similar issue of like a lot of these older movies have, where it's just like a little bit of editing might have gone like a super far way. But again, it's a product of its time, but that doesn't really hold it down much. Some of the action, the action's fun, right? The action's fun.
They had a limited budget, and you could sometimes tell.
Right. So I mean, but the important part is when you do have a lower budget like that, you keep it fun. But it's kind of funny. It's like he comes out there with a grenade. He's like, like, I'll blow us all up. And it's like they're all very very safe range from that grenade. Like,
Yes, which they
True.
prove 3 minutes later,
Mm.
and he actually
then, like,
throws it at him too.
she gets
Did
chased
you
down by
notice
the
that they-
helicopter.
I think they had to rent the helicopter for like one day because they'd have these really weird tracking shots of the helicopter overhead.
So
And
that
then
was
they
like
would-
the best part with the action. Like the person they got
Yeah.
flying the helicopter, doing those stunts and everything
Oh,
like
he
that. I'm
was
like, man,
low.
you don't see that in movies
He was
today.
right
Like, this
there,
is
yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
My-
it was kind of
my-
insane.
Straight the only helicopter real filmed helicopter stunt that I like more is in the Italian Job. He flies into the parking garage with a helicopter. He has like 8 or 9 inches on either side of that thing. Freaking
Dang.
intense, dude.
That's what she said.
Did she? Anyway,
Yeah, like the other thing I'll say, and it's just like, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks this when I watch a movie like this. And I'll preempt this, what I'm about to say, as it's really fucking weird that I have this thought, but it's just something that kind of happens in 2024. You guys watching this and you're like, hey, look, see, like they got a black family that's kind of represented well. Like that kind of goes against what they say today. And I can't help but think, I'm like, why the fuck am I thinking this watching this movie, and how absolutely annoying and grating having a thought like that come across your head like that. I'm like, I
well,
shouldn't be thinking
when
about
you
this.
recognize it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I had a similar thought. My thought wasn't black specific. It was more like, oh, a family in a movie. What a breath of fresh air.
Yes, that enjoys being around each other was the
Yeah,
other
that,
thing.
like
I was
a nice family, a family you could
Yep.
actually like, you could imagine yourself being a part of and being happy with.
yes,
That's
and
an incredible thing.
that's something that was so common, I think, in the 80s and 90s, and media, to your point, has gotten away from that, and it's really irritating because even watching a movie like this, I was like, oh, this is nice, like this family dynamic, that's fun, and it's just like the fact that you feel that way because it's never shown anymore is sort of a different level of that thought has to enter my head. So it's,
Yeah,
I get
it's
what you're
just
saying, just a different way.
it's so weird having like I don't know, because you do feel like you get gaslit super hard with modern media takes, and it's just like, and then you gotta like you watch the things from back in the day, and they're like, no, you're wrong, and I'm like, why am I even thinking about this? This is weird.
Yep.
It's weird.
Yeah, the programming is that intense, I guess.
Hey, we are joined by the legendary Maji Chan. Welcome to the show.
Something about. Oh, go ahead.
If
I was
you
gonna say, I mean,
if you guys
because-
donate enough money, I'll show you my Daisy Dukes from both sides.
Yeah, no, I mean,
actually,
I agree
oh, go ahead.
with the family point though. With I agree with you guys. I like the family scenes in there. It is really fun and just kind of like a breath of fresh air watching it. It's like
just
probably one of the higher
sweet.
points.
It's like it is important for the plot too, but it's not wholly necessary to the film as a whole. It's just like, oh, a nice family. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And with the ending too, with them, we can do the ending, right? It's okay. We're spoilers at this point. I think.
Spoilers from a movie in the 1980s. Go.
It has a very similar ending to another movie, also from the 80s. That, funny at times, but a bit of a drama. Steve Martin, John Candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, planes, trains, and automobiles. So the ending of this kind of dude that doesn't really have family getting invited in to be a part of a family again. It was nice. It was a good way to end the movie, and the scenes leading into that made it even better, because we can talk about the climactic fight at the end at some point, but because that was something.
Yeah, no, I really and honestly, like movies like this it almost makes me nostalgic just for people being like that.
Yeah,
because I remember like having stuff like that when I was growing up, and as I've gotten older, I don't know if it's just me or if it's just everybody, but it seems like that kind of thing seems like it would be really, really rare now. And I feel like maybe it wasn't when I was young. Maybe I'm just missing being young. Who knows? But yeah, but it does feel like that would be a really rare thing now.
Yeah, and this is something I bring up a lot, and most of my friend groups are like, "Oh, that'd be boring if you did that." Like my other friends, I'm always telling them, I want a movie where it's just like these are the good guys, and maybe there's a little bit of tension between them, but it's okay. They get over that and they work together. And there's some stakes. Maybe somebody like breaks an arm or gets shot in a leg.
Oh,
or
he's
something.
a bad husband. I hate this film.
But nobody actually, gets taken out in the movie. And then they beat the bad guys, and everybody high fives, and then everybody goes home happy. And I talk to people like, well, if they did that, that would be boring. And I'm like, but nobody does it. Like, we don't even know that it would be boring because I can't think of a decent film where that's actually the case anymore, because everything is Game of Thronesy, where it's got to be like, oh, you like that guy? He's gone now. Or like, it's got to have some dark element to it instead of just being.
We have gay
nice.
auto representation. Thank you, Fubar, for representing the currently absent gay otter. I can't come up with a Jennifer Lawrence joke about a first black family in a movie.
I think that
she was the first woman, and all women came from that. So technically, she is involved somehow. This is somehow can be credited to Jennifer Lawrence, as we all know, being the first movie star and action star, and woman as well. Yes.
Black families just weren't represented in movies until I started in the Hunger Games.
So true. So brave. So bold.
So bold. So tremendously brave.
One thing I want to mention, because I'll forget, is with the soundtrack. What did you guys think of the score, the soundtrack for this film?
It was unique and funk. I like it, but I completely understand why someone else wouldn't.
It was pretty standard 80s.
But it kind of it was one of the first like cop films that was using that soundtrack in that context that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah, to me, I loved it, and
Saxophone,
I dug into it a little bit. Yeah, it's just like that 80s cop where they're like smoking a cigarette and the dirty city at nighttime. Yeah, and the
noir. It feels
saxophone.
noir.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
I love the sax dropping in. But what I didn't know is that the soundtrack for it was actually at least partially composed and performed by Eric Clapton. Which
I forgot about that.
I'm not a huge Clapton guy, but I know he's a very well-renowned guitar player, and I think he's pretty good at some of the theremin. I believe he's also a master of.
Does sound like a bit of an STD, though.
Never heard of him.
So yeah, I was like, that's kind of cool, and I don't know how often that happens in movies. I'd almost be interested to do more research and see if there are other movies out there.
Can someone fact check? Clapton is God, Fubar says. Can someone fact check Jamie? Some fact check.
I'll talk to the big guy real quick. 1 second.
Is this fact or cap, chat? Fact or cap?
Yeah. Nope. He still
Certainly
confirms
not.
that I am God. You're welcome.
Oh, fantastic!
I feel like this is the second kind of thing that's popped up like this. We might need to watch. I got to rewatch to make sure it doesn't suck. But Volcano High at some point, which is one of the movies that I thought of during.
Seen that one.
Oh, it was
Volcano
on MTV
High?
during Korea Week for like a day on TV, and it's a Korean film. The original movie had a soundtrack, which brought why I'm thinking of it, performed by a band called Cyan Shade, which is like a 1980s Japanese rock band that are. I mean, if you like that, they're awesome. Really, really excellent guitarists in that band too. And whenever they brought it to America, they replaced the entire soundtrack with rap, and then the dub of all the characters is performed by different rappers. So the voice acting on it is just going to be phenomenal. I've actually never watched the English version, but maybe we'll have to get around to it. But I'd also be curious. In addition to this movie, what other movies have soundtracks by famous performers throughout?
A lot.
There's got to be a bunch that I don't know of. So maybe we'll have a
when Disney was fondling Phil Collins for like 15 years.
Did he write entire soundtracks though, or just like a song here or there?
No, entire soundtracks for multiple movies.
Interesting.
Like at least 2 or 3. It was a contractual thing.
Didn't know that.
For sure. I love when couples fight on the internet. It's great. All right, but guys, that brings us to our decision: sink or float. What do you think?
Float.
That's us.
Float.
Yeah, for me, it started off sink, and I was like wishing I had it on disc so I could 2 times it early on. But it comes together in the end. And especially, I don't want to leave without referencing that fist fight at the end.
Dude,
I love a good old fashioned Donnybrook, especially whenever there's like 1,000 gallons.
I
of
love that
rain
they
going
both
down.
shot him at the same time.
And he's like
That's-
about to
it's
kill the
great.
guy. And he's like, "Oh, let me keep going." I was like, "This is fantastic." And the entire
He's-
police force is just watching these two dudes, the main bad guy.
Oh yeah, that was so
Murray, and
ridiculous.
Mel
Why is
Gibson.
nobody stepping in?
Well,
I
they
know,
remember they
and he
tried
keeps
to. And
telling
Dan's
them
like, no,
not
no,
to.
they took out some of our guys. Let them do this. Let them do this.
Yes. Oh, that
Yeah.
scene was fantastic.
Yeah, what are you gonna get like the copy of my book and be like, can you record this so I could 2x it?
Like, it
Bro,
gets-
You
yes,
two-timing
maybe.
son of a bitch.
Dude.
That is oh, bro, that is maybe the strangest thing about like
It's
I don't know. I don't
actually-
understand it. You're
it's
like you're like an
strange to me.
alien. That's me
Time-
every
That's
time
so
you two-time
unsettling.
speed something.
Time is precious, man. If I'm watching a movie and it's dragging, I can still get the context to the story without having to spend 1x speed watching it. You know.
He's like Kevin from The Office. Less work good. More smart.
Why
Yes,
Kevin,
more
yeah.
smart.
I use big word when small word
More
uses
speed,
great.
Time
fast.
saved. Yes.
That's a
Save
good
time.
impression, dude.
See
That was a
world.
good fucking
When
impression.
I president, they see. They see.
They see.
Justin, every time a movie can't be double time.
That's not even the level that I'm at in my head whenever I can't 2x it and it's slow. It's way worse than that. It's I make that look
Eh,
tame.
So Andy, that's true. Andy, sink or float?
Yeah.
Sink or float?
Float.
Yes, sir.
Because of the culture, so much of it. Like the score, the music you guys mentioned. Like that just right there. You know?
And I am of the opinion that the sequel is better than the first by quite a bit. They have a bit more of a budget. They're able to do some more interesting action scenes. The bad guys are a little bit cheesier, but also a little bit more memorable. And the same energy comes back tenfold, and the humor is upped a little bit as well. It's a lighter movie and a funnier movie. I
got a better budget.
Yeah, the budget made a big difference on it. Like I don't mind it, but like Joe, I'm sure you're watching. You're like, I can see how they were where they were saving money.
Oh yeah, I mean, but like I respect this. I could like factor in budget a lot of times into my opinion of things because it's just like I ease on things when I'm like, oh, you have a challenge to overcome. So I'm kind of like I go a little bit easier on things, right? So I'm like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, that looked rough. I'm like, yeah, well, the budget wasn't there. But then you got like $100 million production. I'm like, well, that looked like crap. I'm going to judge you like super hard for that.
Oh
You-
yeah,
you have no excuse. Yeah.
And with all that being said, the action actually, the stunt work was really good. Actually, I
Oh,
thought.
yeah.
Like the fighting, some of the stuff they had to do physically. It felt nice, which is what I want in a good.
Well, like I said, the helicopter scene alone, like, kind of made the movie for me because I'm like, this is so cool.
Yes. Oh, that cracked me up whenever the helicopter is chasing the daughter and she's driving a limousine and she makes zero effort to maneuver away from it. The helicopter just pulls alongside her and she's like, I'm just going to keep going straight at the same speed.
And
I
they're
know
not
she's in
shooting
shock
the
or
car;
panicking, but-
they're playing bumper cars with a helicopter.
Yes.
There's no
But-
way this can go wrong.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome. And actually, the original script, the guy who wrote it, I forget his name, but he threw it in the trash and then dug it back out and it got reworked a bunch of times. But in the original premise, he was going to have, what the heck was it? Like they shoot a helicopter and it blows up and it's full of cocaine by the Hollywood sign. And then the Hollywood sign burns and cocaine rains down all over Hollywood. And
You
they had
get a
to-
bit
The
more of that. You
symbolism.
get a bit more of that in the second and third. movies.
Yes.
That's
would've been-
fantastic. Yeah.
That would've
Oh,
been base.
Maji Chan just brought up a really upsetting point. Just think, one episode of The Acolyte is equal to the entire budget of Godzilla -1.
It's more expensive. One
Holy-
episode of
it's-
Acolyte is more
it's like
expensive
14
than
of them.
Godzilla. Yeah.
Kangaroo humping fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude. That's embarrassing. Embarrassing for anyone who worked on The Acolyte. Holy smokes, dude. Because when I found out how small the budget was for Godzilla -1, I was bamboozled. It's embarrassing how much they were able to do on a small budget.
Well, you save money from you don't have to do a whole diversity consultant. Like you just save money in a lot of areas. And also they do this whole thing where they like plan the movie out and they don't like do like Disney has a whole separate budget for reshoots because they plan to reshoot everything,
which
and
doesn't
it's
make
insane, and it never works.
Stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah, but
also,
play that clip.
Real quick.
You just watched a clip from the Iron Seas podcast. Make sure to like this, subscribe, it helps us out a little bit. And please catch the show live at 9:30 Eastern every Tuesday.